Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of ADHD and Crochet. We are continuing on the hat, but I did take the liberty of sewing all the leaves on off camera, and I'm kind of glad I did because they would have been rather awkward and probably would have taken too long if I did them on. So we are going to start off just immediately going through the band here, going around our hat. If you were hoping to see me sew on the leaves, I'm sorry. But if you don't care, then great, we can move on. So we are just going to work our way around here. So this is actually the side of the hat, and this is the part where the flowers are going to be put on. And hopefully we'll have enough time to do that on camera. If not, so be it. We are going to also try and sew on those charms on the edge here. But we're going to start at the top of the band. The way I did this band is started off with a circumference that fit this part of the hat, and then I added stitches until it fit a bit lower on the hat, and then I just kept that stitch count for the remaining rows, checking to just double check that it did fit that part of the hat. So it did start out as a flat project that I've wrapped around, and we will have a seam that we're going to sew up as well. But that seam's going to get covered, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm not a big fan of the look of seams on most things. There are certain projects where it makes sense to have a visible seam and maybe even make it more obvious and decorative as part of the project. But on my hat, I don't really want to see it. Which is why we're covering as much as we can. Last time we were careful to just kind of tuck the string away on this part. Now we're just going to sew over it and seal that off. Now my stitching is probably going to be pretty tight up here at the top, but I'm probably going to make it a little looser down at the bottom of the band because that part needs to be able to stretch so that it keeps a snug but not too tight fit on my head and it does not break. But these top ones don't really need to stretch all that much. They don't need to move. Make them nice and tight. Make this seam as clean as possible. Oops. Bump everything and make everything jiggle. This does still have a little bit of an awkward placement. Circle here. And it's not really going to stay flat. Apparently, my glove is wanting to speed up its decay process by getting caught on things. We're just working our way around. I have thoroughly enjoyed living in Missouri rather than Arizona. Um, there's so much more nature around. In fact, in Arizona, most spiders we'd find were black widows that got in the house and needed to be removed. I don't generally mind spiders, but the ones that have potential danger to myself and my family do need to go back outside. So every now and then we'd find one and I'd just put them back outside. Now, black widows and brown recluses, while they are dangerous if they bite you, you kind of have to be dumb about it to make them bite you. Or very unfortunate that they got in a space that they really shouldn't have gotten and happened to corner them. But most of the time, they want to avoid you and you want to avoid them. They're just good pest control. I would normally just remove them from the house. That's like the only variety of spider I would find were black widows or just black house spiders. They weren't widows, but they looked like them. But now, here, I've actually found brown recluses. They get moved to the fence and a bush not next to my house. They can continue to be pest control for the area, but not in my pantry, not in my cupboards, where I might accidentally corner one and get bitten. I don't want to deal with those consequences. But I also found a really cool orb weaver. Orb weavers are some of my favorite spiders because they're the ones that make the really big, really pretty spider webs. And it's October. So we have one. It is a spotted orb weaver. It is not one of the prettiest of them up when it's just sitting there because it kind of just looks like a brown blob on the web until it starts moving. Its legs have like these amber stripes. Really pretty. So obviously, I had to investigate it further, and I learned that they die in winter, but they lay eggs that survive the winter. So naturally, I had to find out if this was a male or female. So I caught it, put it in a jar, and examined it. If it was a male, I was going to try and keep it. If it was a female, I was going to put it back. Turns out it is a female. Apparently, female orb weavers are bigger. They're the ones that actually make the really big, pretty webs, while the males are quite a bit smaller and focus on finding a mate. So I put her back, and we didn't see her for a couple days. I was worried that she got eaten, or maybe she just left because I messed with her, which consequences of my actions. But I couldn't help myself. But today, in between recording, I saw her again. She's back on her web. I was very careful not to disturb her web too much in catching her. I was very excited to see her. She's not the only resident spider at my house. She's just the big one because she's about, once her legs are extended, she's probably about a good inch, inch and a half in diameter. When she's all scrunched up, she's about the size of a nickel. She's rather big for a random spider, but she's not like the size of a tarantula or anything. Maybe a small one. She was, of course, not very happy with being caught, understandably. Neither was my snake Noodle, but he's figuring it out. Since he has no predators to bother him or worry about, and he's got consistent food and water available to him. The cost of being picked up by me periodically. We do have another spider, and this one actually lives inside our house. As it is completely harmless to us. It is a jumping spider, a little black jumping spider. He's about the size of a dime, and I've named it Waldo. Because he kind of just shows up around the house in random places. It's kind of fun to look for. Sometimes you don't see him for a day or two, but he usually hangs out on the ceiling or the upper walls. At one point, he ended up on the coffee table while I was having lunch, and he jumped onto me. And I'm really glad I didn't react too fast. Kind of looked to see what just moved. There he was sitting on my knee, on my pants. Tried to corral him back to the wall so that he would not get eaten by a cat or squished. In my household, he didn't really cooperate. He ended up just kind of lost in the couch for a little while, but we later found him on the ceiling. And recently he ended up on the floor as well. And so we had to get him out of the walkway so that we wouldn't step on him. Alright, so we've made it back to the beginning here, but instead of snipping it off, I'm actually going to stitch our seam together. Our seam is a little bit odd because I ended up adding too many stitches, but I wasn't going to go back and remove any. So it ended up just folding it over itself. And since it is crocheted and not just regular fabric, it's kind of hard to just cut it down to the size it's supposed to be. I'm going to turn this around. Make it a little easier to work with. I just folded it over itself. I'm going to stitch it flat. Again, this is the part that the flowers are going to be sitting on top of, so you're not really going to see it anyways. But if we do it right, it should lay pretty flat anyways and be kind of hard to see. Alright, so we've reached the bottom, and we do not have enough of this string to go all the way around, but we do have another one that we can do that with. So we're just going to go ahead and tie this one off, and I'm just going to tuck it under. There's not really a point in me snipping this one off, really, maybe making it a little shorter. But we'll go ahead and do that. We'll snip it to make it shorter. But we're just going to tuck it under, just like this. And this part is kind of attached already. We're going to grab our other string here. This one wants to be difficult, so we are going to hide it. A little lamp. We'll just pull it through like that. I need to adjust this pen. Underneath. And work on the bottom. Things are making loud noises. So for this, my stitches are going to be a little lighter. Readjust everything. A little bit looser. I'm going to keep them as tight. Like I said, I want this to be able to stretch. I'm going to barely close this off. Maybe have a knot here. So I'm not going to pull my stitches too tight here, just enough to hold things together. Undo this. It doesn't disrupt the flow of stitching. That's just the worst. And I might even skip a few stitches just so that my stitches are a little bit larger. You're not really going to see this part much anyways because it's right up against the brim of the hat. You're going to hear all sorts of fun noises today, and I apologize. That takes up a little more space than I really have. That's okay. Grabbed a hair tie because my hair is bothering me. Keeps trying to get in my face, and I don't want it there. But the idea is that this still has some give to it, as you can kind of see here, poking at it. That's part of why we gave ourselves a lot of extra string on this bit. Just so that we can make sure we have enough string and our stitches can stay loose. More knots you have. Now, you might see a little bit of showing in the brim there. That's because I put some fishing line, some thicker fishing line, in the brim while making it to kind of help it keep its shape and keep itself flat and open instead of flopping down into my eyes constantly. Now, I didn't do it for the entire brim. I did it for about 3/4 of the brim from the start, and then left a couple of rows from the edge. Didn't have the fishing line. And I did end up having a little extra fishing line, so I will need to go back, remove the extra, that bit right there, a little bit shorter. It is close to the being visible. I don't want that. It is a little odd making these loose stitches rather than making the tighter ones. But there is purpose behind it. So the top is really sewn on there, and then this is just kind of tacked on. So it's a little mobile. And you can kind of see where I started the fishing line on the brim. So that's the beginning of the brim. It'll be hidden once everything is flat. We're almost done here with our band. And then we'll sew on all those little charms. couple more stitches. And we've reached our seam for the band. We're going to go ahead and make our knot. And we're going to hide our string in here. And so we've got our band done. Now, we're going to work on these charms. Got various keys and fall themed fruits, veggies. There's a pumpkin on here, which I think is still technically a fruit, since it's got its seeds on the inside. I don't recall if it really ripens off the vine. Now I am going to use brown thread, so I'm just making sure I have enough here. I need to always cut more. Alright, so we are going to kind of come up through these stitches here to kind of hide our extra string. I'm going to remove this stitch marker. That one will go right there. I'm just going to bring it through the charm, through that little loop. Now I've got a lot of extra string, but we're going to hide it so that it looks relatively flush. I'll pull it to right about there. Then we're going to make a couple of here. There. Pass it through the loop. We've got our loop attached and our charm will dangle freely. And make a little knot here. Off to the side. And it's going to be difficult, of course. And I'm going to take our string and we're going to push it back through these loops down here. We're going to do that 7 more times. There is somewhat hidden there. I'm going to turn to the next one and do the same thing. Follow these up here, out where I want the charm to sit. Stitch marker. Just going to drop there. Carefully pull our string out there. First stitch. Stitch. not. And then hide our string in the same manner that we hid it all the way down. Flush. Snip, and just kind of hug it. Oh, now we've got those two. Tightened or shortened over here a little bit better. So now they'll dangle nicely. We can move on to the next one. This one is where this is probably going to get like a dot of hot glue to keep it where I want it. Just melt it to the flat fabric. See how well that goes. But for now, we're going to ignore it. It's just going to sit there and bother me. We'll bring our string up to where we want the charm to sit. There. Where that's sitting. Now, this isn't going to be a necklace, so I don't really need the charms to be that secure on the little rings. Because it's not going to be going through all that heavy of wear and tear. It's just kind of going to dangle. Now, I'm not putting them directly on the edge of the brim. And that's because I want to put them on the brim. Crocheted one. I wanted to get the charms on there first. Just so I didn't mess up that edge. Now this one was kind of funny because it's supposed to go through that, but the ring didn't fit through that. So I just put it through the next hole. Each key is different, I believe. I don't think I have two of the same key on here, which is kind of fun. But it's still a pattern of key, food, key. But there is no repeats. The only technical repeat is there are two grape charms because I just didn't have another fall type food item to put on here. But the charms themselves are different. Not the same grapes. This one's wanting to be difficult. Good enough. Tug that lightly so that it goes where I want it to. And on to the next charm. This one will put us halfway through. one of the grapes. Or again, follow it up about where I want the charm to sit. And stitch marker. And there. We've got our make our second one, and it's attaching to my recording, my phone, and the little device that connects it to my microphone. Make it stop doing that. We'll make our little knot. And we'll follow this back down. Grab onto everything today. Life difficult. And snip, snip. Does not help that it is getting close to lunchtime, so I'm getting hungry. That's okay. We are over halfway through the video and almost done with that. I will not be making the edge on camera because even though this is called ADHD and crochet, I don't actually crochet on camera. I got all wonky yet. Charm. Really, I just have to attach the flowers, finish attaching the charms, and we're done with the hat. As far as the is anything additional that I do to it will be on my own time, which will be crocheting the edging on it, which again, I'm just going to use a crab stitch. I like that as a finisher. We've only got 3 more to go. Right up to about here. And the stitch marker. that is one of the flowers. I'm really excited for Starbucks Apple drinks, but I do not have Starbucks money right now, so I might try to make it myself. Apple spice latte. That sounds fantastic. I don't like apple pie because I don't like pie crust, but I like apple pie filling. I like apple pie flavored things because it's pretty much just cinnamon apples with caramel flavoring, sort of. It's really good. But I just don't like pie crust. I like when it's like graham crackers put into a crumb or Oreos put into a crumb, things like that. But for some reason, I just don't like pie crust on pie. It's fine if it's like a pot pie with pie crust or some sort of baby crust like that. But for some reason, just pumpkin pie, I only like the filling of it. Apple pie, I only like the filling of it. I generally don't eat the crust all that much, which is weird because like I'm fine with the crust on my sandwiches, but not for my pie. I'm really more of a cake girl. Cake and pudding. That's the good stuff. I like the pie filling, just not the crust. And I really think it's a texture thing. I've also recently learned that I only like egg whites unless I am making like devil eggs or I don't like scrambled eggs all that much. I'm fine with omelets because they have a bunch of other things masking the squishy, foamy texture of the eggs. But just regular scrambled eggs bother me. Strange things you learn over time. Like hard and soft boiled eggs are fine. Leave the yolk on that. I really like it that way. Egg whites, scrambled egg whites or egg white omelets are really good. I love those. Deviled eggs is also fantastic, but just not regular scrambled eggs. This is part of why I think I'm on the spectrum somewhere. I probably am. I forgot to take this off. There we go. Now we're back on track. I got distracted by food because I'm hungry. We're not done yet. We've still got 15 minutes. And I think we can get the flowers on in 15 minutes. I think that's doable. Oh, these grapes want to be weird, but it's fine. I'm going to ignore it because they're going to dangle and no one's going to see these ones anyways because they're tiny. And also, I think at the back of the hat. Could be wrong on that. No, they're on the side. There's other grapes that are more important because they're bigger and prettier. These are just for aesthetic. I just needed a charm that kind of fit the vibe. Alright, so we've got our charms on. So now we are going to attach our flowers. Now, I've been saving all of the light brown extra string. This is the back of the hat. This is the front of the hat. I want this to sit. I want these to kind of angle back like that. And place. So they are not in the way. I'm going to pin it like this. So holds that there, but this is still pretty. Alright, so I'm just going to find a really long one. Needle. That's still attached to. There she is. Alright, we got her. I'm going to put this on. Where's that? I'm going to start over here. I'm going to kind of pooch this through. So now I used some jewelry wire to put the flowers together. Here's yarn. See if it would like to cooperate with me. It does not want to cooperate with me. I stitched through the yarn instead of around the yarn. So now it's being temperamental. We're going to have to do this again. Let's go. Okay, we're going to try that again. Hopefully not make a mess of it. There we go. I'm going to go around this ring lightly as I can. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but we can hot glue or fabric glue the petals to cover it. Or we can attach some leaves. Doesn't matter. Right now, the idea is get the main flowers on the hat. And we want to get them on there in a way that they sit nicely, they don't just flop around all weird. It's kind of hard to see for you and me as we get through here. Or working around here. I'm just going to add a little stitcheroo here. Hold this in place where I want it to sit. Back to making really loud noises. Smacking my microphone, sorry. This is going to be far from perfect attachment wise. We'll make it look pretty later. These are pretty much just the attachment stitches. Everything on there stable. And then we can worry about it. That's kind of how life is. Your first step, get it together. Your second step, make it look like you did that on purpose. And that applies to art, writing, living in general, work projects, everything on there, with all the information, or whatever. And then make it look like you did it on purpose. It's gonna be messy the first time. It's not gonna be very pretty the first time. That's okay. It doesn't need to be pretty. And it may not need to be pretty ever. Now that we are attached, we can go through and make this look. Maybe even pull some of these flower stems down. That it covers what we're doing with the table. I'm not going to do that with too many of them. And I'm really just going to focus on this front part here, since that's the part that's really going to be visible on the hat, or potentially visible on the hat. I don't really need to focus on the back too much. Front. Kind of embroidery now. Make it look a little nicer. Not as pokey, not as silver. Like it's supposed to be growing off the hat almost. Not to be that pretty, but we are just gonna make the colors blend a little off our flowers a little bit. You're not going to see that. Take our pin out. That's not going anywhere. We want it to kind of bounce around anyways. It's like the feather in our hat. So we can take our string. I'm going to make my knot on the inside here. And we're going to hide it up here. Snip, snip, without snipping the flowers. And there we have it. We have our bottom. Gonna stretch a little bit. So this is kind of the idea we're looking at here. We've got our charm over on this side. We've got our flowers on this side. This hanging off in the back. We've got our little charms. All autumn vibes to it. So I'm going to put a crab stitch on the edge here. But I will do that off camera. That will do it for this video. We're right at our hour mark. So if you like the video, please like the video. It helps me out. If you would like more content, I try to post every Sunday. Go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.